Hi, I'm on Facebook Live, and I'm also on a Zoom call with my colleague Nikki Ballou, and I'm on his Facebook Live as well. So we're simul broadcasting on our own different Facebook Lives. I've got this iPhone here recording on my Facebook Live, and I've got that MacBook Pro with Zoom recording on his, and I've got this microphone in front of me taking it all in, and two cameras. This is the most high-tech, goofy thing I've ever done.
I love it. I love it. I love it. Man, that's amazing, Raymond. 2 Facebook Lives at once. That's great. So I'm recording this on Zoom. It's also being streamed in my 7-Figure Heart Leader group, which is a fantastic group to be in and a part of. And wow, just wow. That's
There.
all I can say is wow. That's
Can you see that? Nikki, can you see it?
I can totally see it. That's awesome. Awesome. So, Raymond, you and I just did an interview, which is going to go live on my podcast in a few weeks, but we thought we should do an instantaneous, shorter, to-the-point Facebook Live version of this. What's really, really cool, Raymond, is you are one of the world's foremost authorities on branding, especially when it comes to helping individuals who are in business learn about how to brand themselves at a personal level, because most people don't understand what branding is. They think it's all about the big companies with the huge brands, and they don't think as an individual they have a brand or a brand matters. But you're someone who's been telling us for a long time that that's not true, and in fact, thinking that way can be dangerous to your wealth. Right?
Yes. So I am excited to tell you that my coach, I coach him and he coaches me, so we're like co-coaches. He started his podcast 5 years ago, and it's called The Thought Leader Revolution, and it's amazing. And he has been pushing me very gently to do my own, and I finally realized that he's been right, and so 5 years late, I've decided to do it. But you know what? iPhone was 10 years late and crushed, what was it called? BlackBerry, crushed BlackBerry and Nokia and all those others 10 years late. So just because I came in 5 years late doesn't mean I'm too late. Not at all.
In fact, you're in the perfect time for podcasting. Right now, podcasting is reaching critical mass. The podcast universe is at the moment 3 times the size of the Twitter universe. So 3 times as many people listen to podcasts as go on and use Twitter. And it's growing faster than ever, right? The biggest podcast in the world right now is Joe Rogan's podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience.
Yeah.
And how you know podcasting has arrived is that Spotify just paid Joe Rogan $100 million to move his podcast exclusively on their platform.
No.
Yes.
$100
million. Now, you think to yourself, wow, they're crazy. That's a lot of money to pay just for the exclusive right to this guy's podcast. But here's what happened. Less than a week after they did that, Spotify's a publicly traded company. When the news hit the markets, the value of Spotify stock went up by $5 billion.
Oh, goodness.
100 million created a $5 billion bump in their net worth.
Wow.
Spotify did good.
Wow. That is amazing. That is amazing.
And what's amazing is that, you know what, in this day and age, with the pandemic being what it is, people are looking for ways to get their message out there in a bigger way. And podcasting is great, because if you're one of these people who's afraid of the virus and you don't want to get out there in a big way, you can use podcasting to broadcast yourself. You don't have to be meeting with people face to face. You can use a podcast to do it. And you can listen to people on podcasts. You don't have to get out there to basically interact with someone if that's something that's a concern to you. If it's not a concern to you, but you are concerned about what business is going to look like in a post-pandemic world, it's very important to understand that podcasting is a great way to get your message out. It's a great way for someone like Raymond Aaron, who's been around for a long, long time.
I've been around.
Teaching your genius to get your message out in a way bigger way than you ever dreamed possible. Like when I go into my back end end for my podcast, I see I've got listeners in Outer Mongolia, in Kazakhstan, in South Africa, in Nigeria. I've got listeners in Iran. Well, I'm from Iran. That's probably why. But, I've got listeners in the UK, in Australia, in Sweden, in Norway. Podcasting makes that possible. It allows you to truly spread your message on a global basis. And it also allows you to get your brand out there in a bigger way on a global basis.
Wow.
So as important as it is to write books, and we believe in writing books, right, Raymond? I mean, because of you, I wrote this book through your help in the 10-10-10 program,
right?
Fine Thinking, right? And I've got Raymond Aaron in the back here giving me a nice endorsement for the book. So thank you for that.
Yeah.
This book's made me over $1 million in sales. This book, and not from selling books. So obviously that's very, very important. But I'll tell you what, the podcast has people that have listened to me and contacted me and said, hey, Nikki, I'd like to work with you. I'd like to be your client. And I'm like, okay, I skipped all the steps of, qualifying. How is it that you want to work with me? How do you know who I am? Oh, I've been listening to your podcast for the last year.
Wow.
Oh, so for a year, we've had a relationship that I haven't known about, which is wonderful.
How many downloads do you get per episode, or total downloads lifetime? Give me some numbers.
You know what? My downloads right now, I think, are in the 500,000 mark, and on a weekly basis, I get several thousand downloads.
Wow.
It's a very beautiful thing. It's a very powerful thing. I'll tell you that I want to take that to the next level. There's a few thoughts I have in mind about how to do that. But even if your podcast only had 100 downloads a week, just imagine that's all you had. But let's say that your business was, you had a podcast for gemologists in Amsterdam. And all of your listeners were gemologists in Amsterdam. That would be a very valuable podcast. If those 100 downloads you got were the exact perfect people, I love that, man. That's so amazing. Look at me over there. Look at you. That's so fabulous. So if you had 100 downloads a week and you had the right audience listening to your podcast, that could still make you several $100,000 a year. Isn't that crazy, Raymond?
It is.
You don't need to have a lot of downloads. You just need to have the right people listening to your podcast. If your podcast is niche, I mean, that's what you said to people about books. You don't need to sell 100,000 copies of your book for your book to make you very, very well known inside the group of people you want to do business with.
It's amazing.
It really is. It's Facebook later. There's people that are commenting. That's a beautiful thing. I see the comments. That's awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. Hello. That's a beautiful thing. Nice to see you, folks. Good to have you here. So that's what we got to do. We got to get people podcasting, man. They got to have this much fun, having interviews with people they want to be talking to, that they want to get to know. So, Raymond, I'm crazy about a lot of things. There are some things I love. Like, I love my iPhone. I love my iPad. I love my iMac. That's awesome. More people. Hey, good. But, Raymond, I don't know if I've ever told you this. I'm actually crazy about knives. I'm a knife collector. I love knives. I watched an ad put on by a guy. Actually, he didn't create the ad, but he, in one of his courses that I took, he showed us the ad for a knife. It was a guy named Donald Miller. He does the Story Brand podcast and Story Brand courses. And I was taking a Story Brand course, and he put on a knife ad by this company called Gerber. And then, no, they're not the food company. They're actually a knife company. Gerber Knives exists. So I watched this ad. And you get more people coming on. I love it. I watched this ad, and I fell in love. I was hooked. I bought a ton of knives. Oops, you twisted your phone too much. Take a look. Look at your. Okay, now you got it back on. So the Gerber. So I became a knife nut. So there are these guys who are the CEOs of some of the most iconic companies in the knife world, right?
Yeah.
I call them up and I go, I have a business podcast called The Thought Leader Revolution. Would you like to come on my show? And Raymond, I've had 6 of the CEOs of some of the best known knife companies, people that normally there's no way I'd get to connect with them, right? You can't just be a regular customer and contact these guys, right? But they come on my show and I've got to speak to them. So for me, that's personally a lot of fun because I get to talk to these guys who build the types of things that I love. But what's also been really cool is I get to talk to some of my heroes in business. Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, Brian Scudamore of 1-800-GOT-JUNK, Raymond Aaron. And these folks say, yeah, I'll come and spend an hour sharing my best information and best knowledge and best coaching with you. Oh my God, that's so incredible. And why do they do this? They do this because I have a podcast. I get to develop a relationship with people like that because I have a podcast. And that's a beautiful thing. And I know not everybody wants to interview people, and that's okay. But if you are interviewing people, that could be a wonderful way to elevate your brand by bringing other great people with great brands onto your show. But it could also be a great way of becoming the modern-day Napoleon Hill, which is what some people have graciously called me. Say, you're the modern-day Napoleon Hill because you interview some of the smartest people, most successful people in the world. So you get to be your own version of the modern-day Napoleon Hill by having your podcast and interviewing the people you've always wanted to interview. Giving them a good reason to say yes.
Nikki, tell them how they can download or subscribe to your podcast, and then I'll tell them about mine too. Okay, so you know what? Yours is really easy. So we'll say it's at aaron.com/respark. Aaron, AARON.com/respark. That's how you get Raymond's. It's a fantastic podcast. I had the privilege of listening to a bunch of his episodes. He's amazing. You got to do that. Mine is called The Thought Leader Revolution. You can go to thethoughtleaderrevolution.com, or you can go to any major platform and go to The Thought Leader Revolution on Apple iTunes, on Stitcher, on I'm losing it over here, Spotify, and all the other platforms that are out there. That's how you download the podcast, and you should absolutely listen to it. But if you want a little tutorial on how to create your own podcast, you know what? Here's the deal. Raymond and I are going to do something. If you are willing to share Raymond's podcast or my podcast with at least 10 people, we'll do a private training for you on how you can get your own podcast going free of charge. So all you got to do is get 10 people to say, yeah, we're going to share Raymond's podcast, or yeah, we're going to share Nikki's podcast, and just email Raymond or message myself and say, yes, I've shared it with 10 people, and we're going to set up a special tutorial for you free of charge. We'll put it on Zoom. It'll be private, and you can learn how you can set up your own podcast. So how about that for a good deal, Raymond? That is amazing. So go to The Thought Leader Revolution on all the major platforms. It's been around for 5 years. It's got 500,000 downloads so far in total. And you can also go to my little brand new podcast called Respark Your Life, How to Ignite the Fire to Live Life on Your Terms. It's called Respark Your Life, and there's a short way to get there. Aaron, AARON, Aaron.com/respark, AARON.com/respark. Every Monday, there's a 1-hour in-depth interview with a multimillionaire celebrity. And every Thursday, there's a fascinating 10-minute episode from my life that you won't believe and don't even know about. And if you bring 10 friends to subscribe to either Nikki's podcast, The Thought Leader Revolution, or mine, Respark Your Life, and you can get there at aaron.com/respark, then we will give you a special tutorial on how to start your own podcast. I love it. All right, Raymond, so we did this in my group. Let's take a couple minutes and do it in your group. I actually think I could put us in your group doing this in a minute as well. Yes, well, it's already in my group. This is my own Facebook. Oh, this is in your group? Yeah, it's already done. Okay, and we don't need to do it. Beautiful. No, we're finished. So I'm going to then share. I'm looking forward to it. This is awesome. Okay, now you can share it. I'll share it gladly as well. Yeah, share it to me, and I'll share mine to yours. Okay, bye-bye. Right, bye-bye, bye-bye, bye-bye. Wow, wasn't that fun? Wasn't that fun? Wasn't that fun? So I've got this. Nikki's just signing off now, but I'll just tell you, I'm sitting at home like everybody's sitting at home, for gosh sakes. I used to step on an airplane, wait till you hear this, 1.5 times a week for 37 years, and now no longer. And so I've got all this extra time at home, and I've started a podcast. I've joined a new network marketing company. I've pivoted my seminar business into Zoom. That's not a big surprise to you. But on March 15th, when the world locked down, we didn't know that people would accept a Zoom meeting by webinar, but they did. And so I'm happy. I'm never more than 20 steps away from my wife, which is amazing. I haven't seen an airport in half a year. That's like unbelievable. And enjoy my podcast, Respark Your Life. You can actually access it by going to any of the podcast platforms and type in Raymond Aaron or type in Respark Your Life or use the shortcut aaron.com, AARON.com/respark. And actually, Mickey hasn't gone away. Nikki, do you want to say something else?
I want to just say one last thing, Raymond. First of all, this was a ton of fun to do this with you. I love doing this kind of banter with you. We should do this a lot more often. This is good. Secondly, I want to say this, guys. You know what? Raymond Aaron is the single greatest expert in branding inside the world of personal development and professional development. Nobody knows branding and personal branding for businesses and small businesses the way Raymond does. There's guys who are experts in doing it for big companies like Coca-Cola. Raymond, people do development space. Make sure you follow his word, his brand.
Oops, he's cutting out a bit. But you know what?
Oh.
One day, we didn't hear you for the last half sentence. One day, this is going to be another iPhone, and I'm going to have this one on Facebook Live and this one here on Instagram Live. And if I had another hand, I would hold up another. This isn't an iPhone; it's an external memory, but I'm just playing. And I could hold up another one and do a YouTube Live. This is all insane. It's completely insane. Wow. And I've got these little devices here. There's my microphone with my pop screen. There's my ring, which I have to turn off because I don't have enough attachments in my MacBook. And here's my iPhone holder. Wow, this is so much fun. But I'm just sitting on a couch in my bedroom. This is all. I can do the whole thing from here. This is just so insane. Okay, thank you, Nikki. Thank you.
Bye, Raymond.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. That was so much fun. It was technologically like wild. Aaron.com, AARON.com/respark. You can see it in the notes. And join it. Join my podcast. In fact, I had trouble saying it because I haven't said it very much in my life. Now, behind my head, there's my wife. Oh, look at her. You can see, there she is, right there. That's my wife. And this, oh my God, I've never shown anyone this. This is private. This is the plaque that I got when I finished Polar Race. After the race was over, a month later, we had a black tie celebration at the Explorers Club in London, England. And each person got a plate, and we autographed it in indelible black ink with a magic marker. And I have the autographs there of every person who finished and the race organizer. Wow. Polar race is important, and my wife's important. And you're important. Yes, you're important. And subscribe. Okay, thank you. I've had a lot of fun doing this. Bye-bye.